everyone, and thank you for joining today's webinar. Today we have scheduled webinar on the Happiness Fallacy, which has been organized by Applied Sciences and Humanities Department of Parul Polytechnic Institute, Parul University. I, Vaishali Nathwani, would like to introduce today's guest speaker, Anna Milikian. She is a corporate trainer, keynote speaker, and host of the Mindset Zone podcast. She is an optimist who had to overcome two bouts with cancer to learn that pursuing happiness is a fallacy. She teaches how positive psychology and personal awareness can help us to break through mindset limitations, upgrade our psychological operating system, and achieve more than we thought possible in our work and life. She is the Director of Education for Book Yourself Solid, a board-certified coach, and a proud member of ICF International Coach Federation and ACEC Association of Corporate Executive Coaches. She obtained her PhD in psychology from the University of Sunderland, UK. She taught at several universities at Portugal and Spain and co-authored several articles and book chapters. As a speaker, coach, and consultant, her focus is on applying psychological and social science insights for success and fulfillment to the power of being human. She helps audiences break through their mindset limitations, upgrade their mind's operating systems, and achieve better results than ever while enjoying the process. It's a privilege to welcome you here, madam, on this platform.
My pleasure to be here.
Yeah. And you can start with the session, ma'am. Yes.
Wonderful. So I want to start to welcome everybody, and I just want to make sure that I don't have feedback here in my side. I want to welcome everybody, and I want to make this as interactive as possible because I think we learn better when we are doing things. So if anybody on in the Facebook Live or even directly here on this program can time in on the chat, please go ahead and do it, because I'm going to start with a little science experiment that for the ones that are listening, even if it's in the replay later, you can do it here with me. So I'm going to ask you to, in a piece of paper, to write a plus and a minus. Okay, so please, and I will ask here to our wonderful hosts also try to do this. So do a plus and a minus. They have to be in the same line and about 7 centimeters separate, 3 inches. So when you do that, you will have this in a piece of paper, and you can tell me here on the chat if you have it. And then what I'm going to ask, this experiment has 3 parts, okay? Step number 1 is all about the position. You have to hold the paper. You can hold it with your left hand because I want you to have your right hand free. And you are going to look to the paper at the same distance, at the same level as your eyes. Let's see if I can put here on the camera. Okay. So, and then step number 2 is all about the distance of your eyes to the paper. So position the paper about 1 open hand away from your nose, like is really about in centimeters will be like let's see, I think in inches, but I think you will be in centimeters, about less than 18 centimeters away from your face. Okay, so you have it the position, you have the distance. So now we can go to step number 3. That is, you are going to use your right hand to close your right eye. And then you are going with your left eye, you are going to look crosswise in a diagonal to the minus, and you keep your focus on the minus in the paper. So you put, I'm going to try to do it here with you. You are going to close your right eye, and then with your left eye that is open, you are going to look to the minus on the paper. And sometimes you have to readjust a little bit the distance, but at a certain point, something very interesting happens with the plus. So when you are looking to the minus and focusing the minus, notice if something interesting happened with the plus. Because at certain moment, the plus will disappear, just like by magic. And if the plus is not disappearing, it's probably because you are not finding the best distance, or you are not keeping the focus on the minus. Okay? So you can, if you want, to communicate on the chat or in Facebook if you see the plus disappearing. And if you don't see the plus disappearing, just notice if your inner critical voice is activated, like, oh, I don't understand this, what is going on here? Because we are going to come back to that critical inner voices later, and this is positive. It's really important to be aware of it, okay? And at the end, I can provide several resources that includes more information about this exercise. And even if you didn't saw the plus disappearing, you can really follow all the rest of this presentation, okay? Because what this is designed to do is to show us our visual blind spot. So there is this area in the back of our eye where the optic nerve connects with the eye that doesn't have light receptors. So we cannot see any image that fall in that spot. So why are we not aware of it? Because our brain has the capacity of feel the missing information. So instead of seeing an empty spot, our brain tricks us into seeing what makes sense to be there. In this case, because a round of the plus is blank, is white, our brain fills the empty spot with white and the plus disappears. So it's incredible how amazing we are and how amazing our brain is. And at the same time, our brain can trick us, sometimes in a good way, other times not so much. So being open to see our blind spots and understanding why they happen can help us tap more fully into our human potential. And today we are going to uncover 5 psychological blind spots that will allow you to see more possibilities for you, for the ones around you, and for the world in general. So I hope that you are ready to come in this journey with me. So first, I want to introduce you to a very special person. That is my husband's grandmother. Her name was Arman Malikian. Her great grandkids call her Big Grandma. She was only 4'10" in height, and she always had this royal blue dress that she wore to every special event. She wore also this pearl necklace and a white handkerchief that she loved to hold while she was dancing to the traditional Armenian music. She was born in 1905 in Amasya, that is a region in the northern part of Turkey, close to the Black Sea. And she lived through the Armenian genocide in 1915. From a family of 10 people, only she and her mother survived. She moved here to the US in 1923, endured the Great Depression with a young son, and became a widow when she was only 49. But she was full of energy, with a dynamic personality and a biting sense of humor. And in her 100th birthday, surrounding with family and friends, she joked, I don't know why God is keeping me here. I'm waiting for a call from him, but he seems to have lost my number. She always had these jokes and she always had this joy to live. And if you look around, you will find the example of amazing people who survived the unimaginable and lived fully and happily. My personal hero is Grandma Malikian. You probably have your own heroes. It can be a family member, it can be a teacher, it can be an author that you admire. But these heroes, they can be a source of inspiration, and at the same time, they can trigger our inner critic with thoughts just as, gosh, we have it so much better. Why are we not happier? Or if they can enjoy life, why are we not enjoying life more? We totally can be unhappy, even if all circumstances seem perfect. And maybe you know highly accomplished people who seem always to be searching for something and never fully happy. Maybe you have your own list of conditions to be happy. Things like, oh, if I had more time, then I could fill the blank, whatever it is. Or things like, when I finish this project, then when I find the right person, then if I had more money, then. Did you ever thought about buying a lottery ticket and think, if I win, then? Interesting. Research shows that lottery winners are not happier than the rest of us. Yes, most rate winning the lottery as a highly positive event and report many positive things, good things happening in their lives, including financial security, more free time. However, after a while, their happiness level go back to what they used to be before winning. It's incredible. And the reverse is also true. Even accident survivors, like individuals that became paralyzed from the waist down, aren't nearly as unhappy as we might expect. It seems that they also tend to go back to their previous happiness baseline. It's like there is this gravitational force that pulls us to our previous happiness set point. And I have a personal experience that illustrates this. In January 4th of 2016, I was diagnosed with inflammatory breast cancer. That is a rare form of cancer, only 1 to 5% of all breast cancers, with a 5-year survival rate of 41%. Now, 6 years later, I'm here, healthy and strong, and grateful for all the advances in medical treatments. I really embrace all my healing journey with all my strength. And at the time, my mindset was, I can beat this with all my might, my strength, and determination. And I won the battle. It took me about 2.5 years to get back to my happiness baseline. And I had held my breath, and I was finally relaxing and starting to enjoy life again as before. And then they found another cancer on my left breast. And this time was a more common time. Again, I embrace my healing journey and all the treatments, but my mindset shift. I decide to stop the when then cycles. I choose to learn how to savor the small stuff. Even in the midst of cancer, I decide to make the best out of it. For instance, during the chemo, I requested to be seated in this treatment chair in front of a window that has these amazing views of the Arizona desert where I live here. And even with all the food tastes like cardboard because we lose the taste, I still set the table nicely and enjoy dinners with my family. And we even create a ritual of sharing what we are grateful for the day before we start eating. And I knew that the same forces that prevent most lottery winners from elevating long term their happiness level were in action in my situation too. So, to elevate and sustain my happiness, I had to counteract the habituation effect that prevent and make sure that old habits like the when then were not coming back. Otherwise, I knew that I was just going back to what it used to be before. And this takes us to something that here in the United States is we usually speak a lot, that is the pursuing of happiness. Because pursuing happiness was my goal for as long as I can remember, and was a goal that I aspire and I was proud of it. I had to overcome 2 bouts with cancer to realize that I had a big blind spot around this concept, because for me, to have pursuing happiness as a goal was permission to always chasing it and therefore not fully getting there. I was using the belief of pursuing happiness as one of my biggest when then excuses. And this was when I realized that pursuing happiness could be a fallacy. In fact, it's quite a common fallacy, and it's the first of a set of 5 misbeliefs I want to bring our attention during our time together today, because these misbeliefs can work like blind spots, illusions. We believe we see what is really there, but when we have more information, we realize that maybe there is more to take in. And even if you don't identify 100% with this blind spot, I would like to invite you to expand your field of possibilities. And this will allow you to tap into your potential, find new ways to live your life more fully. The goal of pursuing happiness can be a great strategy to keep us detached from our feelings, rationalizing everything, and not being present in the moment, not tapping into the power of now. When we become aware of this, when we become aware of this blind spot, we can see possibilities of choosing happiness at almost every step of the way. Happiness doesn't need to be a goal, it can be a way of being. There is a book that I really recommend called The How of Happiness, where the author Sonia Lubomirsky sums up how our well-being is determined in what she calls an happiness pie. She uses, even in the cover of the book, there is the image of a pie, and she uses, it's like a graphic to represent the different factors that determine our well-being and happiness. Half of the pie, 50%, is our genetic happiness set point. We are born with a set potential to which we tend to return, even after a major setback or triumph. Let's blame our parents for that. It's genetics, is something that we cannot change. For some people, it's easier not to worry and just be happy. For others, it can be harder to keep their positivity high. So, are we doomed by our genes? What is in the other half of the pie? There is a slice on the other side of the pie that represents 10%. Incredible. Only 10% for life circumstances. And it seems counterintuitive because when we are living the hard life circumstances, just as a job loss, a divorce, or an illness, we really feel it. We are immersed in it. Yet research shows that in hindsight, even challenging life circumstances only determine 10% of our overall well-being. And trust me, when I learned that I had cancer and went through all the different medical appointments and exams, the grueling chemo that is like being hit by a truck, having a couple of weeks to recover and then go back in front of the same truck to another hit, plus surgery, plus a month of radiation, that 10% felt like it had more of a couple of zeros attached to it. It really was a lot. But if we believe that those things that happen to us, those life circumstances will determine our happiness, we can let those events overwhelm us and limiting a lot of our options and our choices. And this can be a very strong misbelief that can almost drown us. And this is the second blind spot I want to expose today. Our life circumstances are not the main factor determining our happiness. If we realize that there are more factors in action, we have more room to play. So that leaves us with a slice that represents 40% of the pie. So 50% was the genetical set point. 10% is determined by life circumstances. So we have 40% for our thoughts, our behaviors, our daily intentions. It's incredible. Consider that 40% of what determines our happiness have to do with our mindset, what we think, and what we do daily. And I love this 40%. It's a space where we can grow. And there is many ways to improve our mindsets, increase our positivity, and change our daily habits. And from this perspective, we can see happiness as a choice. Happiness can be a way of being. Even if we only can influence 40% of this equation, we can significantly increase our happiness. So we can learn to be happier. And in order to learn to be happier, it helps to understand how positivity works. Maybe many of you have heard about Viktor Frankl. He survived the Nazis' concentration camps during the Second World War and he wrote the book Man's Search for Meaning. And he was funny, witty, with a positive energy that will fill a room. Frankl probably had an high high genetic happiness baseline. And he also worked a great deal on his mindset. And maybe you are thinking, I'm not Viktor Frankl. Yes, it's true. Yet we can learn from him and from other inspiring people too. And there is a branch of psychology that can help us here: positive psychology. Positive psychology is the scientific study of what enables individuals and communities to thrive. Martin Seligman, one of the pioneers of this field, uses the acronym, the letters PERMA, PERMA, to sum up the 5 components that allow us to flourish. So the first P is for positive emotions. E, engagement or flow. R, for relationships. M, for meaning. And A, for accomplishment. So here, let's focus on the first building block: positive emotions. Psychologists had a big blind spot that was preventing them to understand positive emotions. They were assuming that positive emotions, like negative ones, produce an urge to act in a particular way. That the positive emotions, like negative emotions, have some type of immediate survival value for our ancestors. So let's focus a little in the negative emotions first to understand this. If we are, even today, imagine you are crossing around, going around in the street, and you go crossing a road, and suddenly you notice a car coming fast. We are wired to quickly react and jump to the safety of the sidewalk. We feel fear, that is a negative emotion, that triggers to do something like move fast, and this can be a good thing in certain situations, like if the car is coming fast. So fear is there to protect us from the danger. And the capacity of experience this emotion is there because it helped our ancestors to survive. So negative emotions become bad when we don't let them go, when we stay stuck in the negative emotional state. For instance, if we remain all day long thinking about what could have happened. It's like if we place our hand in a hot stove, we feel the pain. And the pain is a signal of danger, and that is a very good thing. What doesn't make sense is to leave the hand on the hot stove, like we often do with negative emotions. We stay stuck with them. So negative emotions are strong by design. It's like if you are eating and you bite into a very spicy chili pepper. We cannot miss the intensity of it. It's there screaming at us with all the cells in our body. The good side of it is that these negative emotions capture our full attention. The bad side of it is that sometimes it's so difficult to let it go. And as I said before, negative emotions are usually associated with the impulse to act in a particular way. So fear is linked with the urge to flee. Hunger is linked with the urge to attack. So psychologists were asking themselves, what specific action tendency do positive emotions trigger? If fear produces the urge to flee, then joy produces the urge to what? It was only in the 1990s that Barbara Fredrickson proposed a different perspective to understand and to study positive emotions. She called it the broaden and build theory of positivity. And let's look to the expanding aspect first. Fredrickson argued that unlike negative emotions that narrow people, ideas, and actions, positive emotions open our awareness to a wider range of thoughts and behaviors. So positivity broadens. It opens our hearts and our minds, making us more receptive and creative. So positive is like the sun to a flower. It opens. Imagine a situation where you feel overwhelmed. Imagine a deadline is coming, or exam, or delivering a project is coming. You think at things halfway done, and you need a document to finish one of the things that you are working on. And you cannot find it. And you panic. You look all over your desk, all over the room, nothing. In the middle of this, a friend calls or texts you, you go back and forward, you speak, even a joke, you relax, you laugh, you stop the conversation, and then you are more relaxed, your eyes just wander around the desk, and suddenly they stop at a specific place because they notice something. There it is, the missing paper. Or if you lost the keys, you don't see the keys, and then suddenly they are there. Or you misplace your sunglasses and you cannot find us, and suddenly they are there. Whatever. We know that when we are under tension, our vision is restricted, figuratively and literally. We don't see solutions for our problems. We don't find the object that is supposed to be there. When we relax, we are more open. Our vision expands and we start seeing challenges from different perspectives, and we find possibilities. We really see more. And this open a lot of possibilities in our lives. Now let's go to the building element. So the first element was the broaden. Now the building. If negative emotions exist because they quickly trigger us to act in ways that add an immediate survival value for our ancestors, what was the immediate survival values of positive emotion? How could feeling joy, a positive emotion, save lives? If we look beyond the immediate moment, we can start seeing the survival value of positivity. Because when we feel positivity, we feel good. We are more open. We expand our awareness, and this allows us to build resources, build reserves, build relationships. And all these have a survival value in the long run. So if negative emotions are like that chili pepper that if we bite, we immediately feel it, positive emotions is like a wonderful meal with friends. Sure, we enjoy it, yet we are not always aware of it. We are also not usually aware of all the building of experiences, memories, relationships that is happening there. And think about if you have a business or if you are doing a project from this perspective. But think about if you are a business owner, we keep reacting from fear or other negative emotions what you do, your business can survive, but you are always playing catch up and always pushing to achieve your goals. On the other hand, if you build your business or career from a positive standpoint, the future is there for you to explore and to expand. You can be more in the flow. You can have a network of people to help you too, because you are building relationships and leverage those relationships. Positivity builds the future, and think how many possibilities this open. So, how can we increase positivity in our lives? According to researchers, if you try to increase positivity in your life by having the motto "be positive," this can backfire, because if this "be positive, be happy" is not sincere, it's not helpful. We are saying it, but we are not feeling it. If you try very hard to feel joy, to feel awe, to feel hope, these positive feelings are not going to happen. We cannot force something that only occurs spontaneously. The illusion that we can willpower our way to positive emotions can be seen as the third blind spot that prevents us from being happier. And in the extreme, we even have a name for it: toxic positivity. That is the belief that no matter how dire a situation is, we can just be positive, be happy. Imagine that happiness is a plant. We cannot help this plant grow by pulling its leaves. We kill the plant. Instead, we can tender the soil, make sure that the light is right, the humidity is good. Then there are much more possibilities to see this plant thriving and growing. We cannot force happiness, yet we can choose to cultivate positivity in our lives by being more open, more grateful, curious, and kind. And let us keep in mind that changing habits, changing in general, can be difficult. I still remember several years ago, my automatic behavior first thing in the morning was open my phone and click the news app, just to confirm that world was still out there spinning and moving. And I can assure you that this is not the best activities to start your day in order to cultivate positivity. So what did I do? I tried self-control. It worked for a couple of days until I was back to my old habit. And I was thinking, what is wrong with me? I knew that this was not good for me. Why do I keep doing it? Welcome to dilemma of behavioral modification in health and wellness. Most people know what the best health habits to have are. Drink more water, do more exercise, eat less sugar. But it's so difficult to change old habits and so easy to go back to the old patterns, mainly when circumstances get tough. And I like to ask you to do another exercise here. I want you to grab a piece of paper and I want you to write the word reactivity. It's REACTIVITY. So just write the word in a piece of paper, reactivity. Okay? And once you write it down, I want you to see the C, the letter between the A and the T. Okay? The letter C. And I want you to move the letter C from that spot to the beginning of the word. If you move the C to the beginning of the word, what word do you read now? So if I take the C out of here and put it in the beginning of the word, we have the word creativity. Quite amazing. A small shift can produce a big change. So I decide to do that to my habit of the phone. I decide to delete the news app from my phone. And yes, I still pick up my phone in the morning. Not the first thing, because now the phone is in the bathroom, not in the bedroom. And when I open it, I click in one of my favorite mental fitness app, a mindfulness app. And I start my day with a 2-minute intention setting. It's a small change that helped me build more positivity in my life. So another principle to keep top of mind is that having an insight is not enough to sustain change. Okay? I repeat, having an insight is not enough to sustain change. Changing the way we see the world around us, how we think, and our beliefs totally affect our present reality and impact what we can envision for the future and the possibilities that we choose to explore. The more prevailing perspectives speak about mindsets, the way we think, and the beliefs we have, conscious and unconscious, as determining how we feel, what we do, and ultimately the results we get. So it's thoughts determining our feelings, our behaviors, and results. And it's easy to see this as an unidirectional model that describes what is happening. But this linear perspective is too simplistic and doesn't allow us to see the whole multidimensional picture of this. If it was a simple unidirectional causality, getting a new insight or becoming aware of a thought pattern will be enough to change our feelings and our behaviors. And we painfully live the reality that is not that easy. Insight is not enough. I don't know if you like TEDx and the TED Talks, that inspiring talks that are so popular here in the US. And so many people see them. And it will be great that if just by seeing these inspirational talks was enough to change us, just like by magic. Yes, these talks, they can inspire, they can ignite a spark that leads to change. But usually there is more moving parts involved in the process of lasting change. And we have to take this in consideration. And I love mindset work. I even have a podcast called The Mindset Zone. And I will declare here today that mindsets are not the be all and all. And this, in fact, is the fourth blind spot that I want to spotlight today. And is one that keeps many people stuck. Yes, changing our beliefs, the way we see the world, makes a huge difference. But we need to do more than that. To make things happen, we must feel the energy that helps us transform and live. So instead of seeing our thoughts, feelings, behaviors in a linear way, I would like to invite you to see them as a triangle, a form with three sides. If the triangle loses one of the sides, ceases to exist. And I even invite you to form a triangle with your hands. Okay, just put the thumbs together for one side and then bring the left and the right fingers and form a triangle with your hands. And now I want you to imagine that one side of this triangle represents your thoughts or mindsets. The other side, the feelings and emotions, and the other side, your actions and behaviors. You can expand a lot of possibilities this way. Imagine you send out an important email with a proposal or a grant request that if it's accepted, if you win that, it can help you achieve your goals for the next quarter or even the year. But 1 week has passed and there is no reply. These kind of circumstances can trigger negative feelings, emotions like anxiety, fear, lack of confidence, and can lead to procrastination and inaction. Maybe become aware that this situation has activated our judgy thoughts towards ourselves. Oh, maybe I didn't wrote a strong enough proposal, or even towards others. How inconsiderate are they? They could have answered the email. Or even we can start to overgeneralize and impact the way that we see the world. It's not fair. I work so hard. This should be a little bit easier. Once we identify our specific negative self-talk that is different from person to person, we absolutely can work in changing our thoughts in order to change the way we feel and the actions we take. So thoughts, feelings, and behavior. But if we use the triangle, we can see other entry points for change. For instance, we can start to focus on one action. Breathing out fully, like a kid that is determined to blow all the candles in the cake. Then we can allow our body to inhale deeper. Breathing out first is the secret here, because imagine that if your lungs is a glass and you are trying to breathe deeply, but if the glass is almost full of water, you don't have space to breathe. But if you empty the glass out, then if you empty the air, the residual air that is in your lungs first out, then there is more space to receive fresh air. So exhaling fully first is one of the secrets to be able to deeply breathe. So from a place of connecting with your breath, suddenly we relax and we might remember, going back to our example, that you read somewhere that an average person in business can receive more than 100 emails per day. And maybe you decide that maybe I can send another email asking, or I can phone or text the person confirming that they received the email with the proposal. Why not? So next time after you watch or read an inspiring book or inspiring video or presentation that elicits an insight or a new awareness, you can consider how that new thought reflects its power and energy in the other sides of the triangle. How the new way of thinking will change your energy, how you feel, and how this will impact your day-to-day actions. And what are the daily habits that you can develop or be helpful to develop and sustain to make your mindset shift stick to be your default mindset. And as you move forward, what will you need to do to support the thinking require to up-level your way that you feel in terms of positivity and to maintain your peak performance for longer. How can you make this your new way of being, your default? And yes, this is a more complex picture, and it also provides more entry points for change. We know that change can be difficult. It's when the rubber meets the road. It's easier always to go back to the old patterns, the old way of doing, feeling, and thinking. And the illusion that change is linear, is a linear process, and that relapsing into old patterns is a failure, is the fifth blind spot in our list. And one of the biggest culprits preventing from really positive change from happening. And my invitation to you is to embrace the change messiness. Change is messy. We can transform this almost into a game, like a sandbox where you can play and try different things, knowing that there's going to be a back and forward. You are going to try, you are going to fail, you are going to get that and try again. And maybe some of you are familiar with this quote. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. And let me repeat this. Between a stimulus and a response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. And in our response lies our growth and our freedom. Powerful. The challenge is to press the pause button that allows us to see that space, that gives us the power to choose our response, namely when circumstances are tough. We need to learn to press the pause button in order to respond to life challenge without reacting, without falling into old habits, and instead be more positive and choose positivity rather than negativity. And we can do this by increasing our mental fitness. If we are physically fit, we can climb a long set of stairs without losing our breath. If we are mentally fit, we can handle life challenge without getting overwhelmed or immersed in negative, stuck in negative emotions, and we can recover faster and be more resilient. So I will put a link at the end that gives you more resources and the links to the books that I spoke and other stuff. I just want to end here today by invite you to keep in mind that, yes, I speak about different models, and every model by definition is an oversimplification. I spoke about the happiness pie, about the triangle. What I want you to consider and ask yourself is, are they helpful? And let's put the triangle here to the test, and it's going to be a little bit different from the first one. So I like to invite you to form a triangle with your hands. Now imagine that one of the sides of the triangle represents mindsets, but let's put the mindsets there, the thoughts, your beliefs, and feelings too in that side of the triangle. You don't need to overcome cancer to realize that happiness doesn't need to be a goal. Happiness can be a way of being. And yes, we know that we tend to go back to a happiness baseline. And we also know that we can learn to be happier. Now, to the other side of the triangle, that can represent systems to make our lives easier. It can represent our mind's operating system that we can upgrade. So we can learn to be happier, tap into our human potential, get better results, increase our well-being, and improve our relationships. And finally, let's look to the base of the triangle that can represent implementation. training, cultivating positivity, small actions that can produce big results. We can learn to be happier, and that can be one of the best ways to tap into our potential and allow us to thrive. We can stop pushing for results and start feeling the pull energy that allows us to achieve and sustain high performance by being in the flow. And please be gentle with yourself. The intention here is to ignite a sparkle inside you and start the change process by modifying some of your mindsets, creating experience that elicit some feelings and invite you to small actions and to try new things. And just pick one thing that you can do. For instance, here today, I'm choosing to be grateful for being here and for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for joining with us today. It was very nice listening to you. So, there are some questions, madam.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Yes. How can we find happiness in ourselves, according to you, your guidance or your advice?
And is really one of the best advice that I can give is start small and remember that you cannot force happiness. You can create the conditions for it to happen. That is it in your power, but you cannot force it. So you cannot go, oh, I have to be happy. That will not help. Is what can I do? Go for a walk, do something that allow me to be a little bit more relaxed, some meditation, some mindfulness. That is the small steps that you can do to cultivate happiness in your life.
Okay. So, according to you, madam, nowadays, as social media is growing fast, right? So, does materialistic things bring happiness to us?
Uh, if materialistic things bring happiness to us,
Yeah.
is
Hmm.
that the question? Of course, there is always say when you go out and we buy a new dress or we buy something, a new gasket, a new phone, there is an immediately kind of that we feel happy, we feel, oh, we have a new something that make us feel good. There is an increase of that moment of happiness. But remember that happiness, we go back to the previous, if we don't do other things, that is a high that we go back afterwards to the our previous happiness level. So are we keeping just buying things to get that kind of feeling? There are other work that we can do that sustain our happiness for be able to appreciate buying things or having new things, but also other things that you can do even when we cannot afford going out and buying new things.
Yes. Absolutely right, madam. That's true. And the last one, how can we increase our positivity during our failure phase or negative situation, ma'am?
And we have to allow ourselves a little bit of time. If it's really an hard situation, we have to be gentle with yourselves and be gentle with ourselves. We have to give a little bit time to mourn and to process those things. What we don't want is to stay stuck there. So surrounding ourselves with people that can help us, going for a walk in nature, if we have a pet, a dog, a cat, or whatever, spending time with animals, anything that help us to start to heal is really very helpful.
Okay. Yes. So I think we shall end our session here, ma'am. Thank you so much for joining with us today and giving us your valuable time. This session will
And
surely help our faculties and students for moving ahead in the future life.
And can I leave my website? I can give a link where people can get more
Yes,
information about my podcast.
yes, sure,
And
ma'am.
I even can send, if then they reply to one of the emails. Let me put the direct link here to the
Yes, you
email.
can. Yes, you can put it in the chat box, ma'am.
Yes. And then if they will get information about my podcast, and then if they
Yes,
tell me, oh, I was in this talk, I can send you a list of all the books that I recommend, and even of a summary of the blind spots that I spoke here.
okay, sure, ma'am. Sure. We'll forward it to the students.
Yeah, and let me also put my general website too, if people
Okay.
want to. I'm putting here on my website. I would love to connect and to know what of what I spoke resonate more with you. Please, I would love to know that.
Yes, sure. We will share the feedback also, ma'am. Okay.
Wonderful.
Yes, I would like to thank the head of our department, Mr. Hemal Patel, sir, the HR of our institute, Dr. Jatin Vaidya, sir, and the president of our university, Dr. Devanshu Patel, sir, for motivating and supporting us continuously for conducting such webinars. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining with us today. Bye.